Hi guys, I'm back and welcome to another video. I'm trying to be as consistent as possible because I know that it's gonna be a lot harder for me to post later on. So I'm here with another video. Also, I know what some of you are thinking, where's part 2 of drawing YouTubers that inspire you? It's coming, okay? It's coming. I tend to edit things at the same time, so I am working on it, don't worry, but it's probably not going to be posted before this video, and I'm probably going to post this one first, but that's okay. Anyway, for today's video, I have a question for you. Are you someone who wants to draw, but you don't know how to find your style? Then no worries, because I got you. Today's video is going to be about art style, but not really how to find one, because I can tell you how to find one right now in less than a minute. One of the easiest ways to find your art style is to find artists that inspire you, take what you like from their styles, and then incorporate it into your own. And as you keep drawing with the things that you like from their styles in your style, you're gonna realize that, oh, I like this and I like that. And not only that, but once you continue to experiment with your style, then you're going to find out a lot about what your preference is in terms of drawing. And that's basically how you find your style. So I thought to myself that I don't want to make an entire video like that, since I just explained to you one of the best ways to find your style. However, I know some of you might be interested in my drawing process, how long it takes me, and stuff like that. So I'm going to be going into my drawing process and explaining one of the things that makes my art style look like what it looks like now. And I'll be breaking it up into stages just to make it a lot easier to understand. So without further ado, if you want your art to look like this, or this, or this, then continue watching. Or if you're just genuinely interested in how I draw, then you can still keep watching. So I'm gonna take you through the process of how I drew this piece of artwork for my channel. This is a drawing of my persona, and it's also my profile picture because I wanted to upgrade my profile picture a bit and also draw something really cutesy that I could use for this video. So here for stage 1, we have the sketching process. And you're probably like, oh, but you already have the entire body sketched out. I can explain. This is a pose that I'd never drawn before, so I went on Pinterest and I found this base that said, oh, you know, beginners can use this. So I just decided to take a shortcut, which is okay sometimes, as long as you're not doing it all the time and you just never draw your own bodies. And I do draw my own bodies, but I just took a shortcut to make the process a little bit faster since I didn't know how to draw this pose and I didn't want to put myself through a lot of trouble. I didn't know how to draw this pose so much so that while I was drawing this, I had my little mini player on YouTube so I could be watching Apple Mint while she drew this pose for one of her videos. But the sketching is exactly what it sounds like, and I don't get too detailed with it because that's what I do for the line art, or at least I call it line art, but I use this really low opacity brush to do it because I want my colors to pop more. And I know that stage 2 is already playing on the screen, but before I say anything about that, I just want to say something about what you saw in the sketch, which was me planning the colors. I don't do this all the time, but it can be beneficial if you don't know what colors you're going to use and you don't want to waste time doing that. So I definitely recommend planning your colors in your sketch before you actually start coloring. Anyways, now we have stage 2 and stage 3 on the screen. Like I said, for the liner, it isn't really liner, it's more of just a second, more clean sketch because I use a really low opacity brush because I want my colors to pop when I color, and I end up putting a lot of overlays, so I don't really like to do clean line art, at least not anymore. And there's nothing wrong with clean line art, so if you like using it, then go ahead. But I also want to highlight something that I've been doing a lot, which is hatching. And yes, it just passed, but please forgive me because this speed paint goes really fast no matter how much I slow it down. Hatching is basically the little lines you saw me doing in the line art, and after doing it once, I started doing it for all of my drawings because it really adds a lot of texture and it just makes my art look a lot more interesting and a lot less flat. So I used to do a lot of really clean shading, but I just think that hatching brings a lot more dimension and I love doing it. I know there's hatching brushes, but I prefer to do my hatching manually because I place it in really specific areas, like under the nose, if there's bangs, then under the bangs, under the neck. And when I do my hatching, I don't really have any specific lighting that I think about when I do it. I don't want to say normal lighting because there's not really a such thing as normal lighting, but let's just say that it's studio lighting, not coming from any specific direction, so not directly from the top or the bottom or either the left or the right, just regular lighting. And that's ultimately how I do my hatching and my line art, which again isn't really line art, but I think you get the point by now. I feel like art style all comes down to your coloring techniques and how you do certain proportions and stuff. Because when I look at my art, I think that I change my eye style with every piece that I do. But my friends and my family and everybody that sees my art is always able to tell that I drew it. So keep that in mind, that when you're drawing, you want your style to be unique to you and extremely recognizable. So stage 4, which is the coloring and what's going on in the background, has been going on for a while now, but before I get into that, I just want to say one more thing about sketching. Now, it all depends on the way that you do your line art. Like, for example, if you're somebody who paints digitally, then you don't really need to do line art, and a lot of people that I see that paint digitally will just clean up their sketch or just make a second sketch. And if you're doing clean line art, then a lot of people usually clean up their sketch. But I also want to stress that it's okay to sketch messy. Sometimes our sketches can be wild and crazy, and that's completely fine. I'm someone who, even though I wish I could post more, it's always coming down to me looking at my speed paints and seeing if I spent too much time fidgeting with the sketch. But art isn't perfect, and it's really just a big process of having to trust yourself and trust what you're doing. For that reason, most of my art I kind of hesitate to post because it's just a lot of me fidgeting with the sketch before I can even get to doing my line art, not really line art. So if you're starting out as an artist, don't be discouraged if you see yourself spending a very, very long time sketching something, because art is a process. Anyway, time for stage 4 because I've postponed it for a little bit too long. This is the stage where I do my coloring and my shading. And my shading, it's pretty simple. It's a mix of cell shading and also blending stuff out because I do like doing cell shading, but I also want my art to look really soft, so I'll cell shade things and then I'll just blur it with the blur brush. And it's not only to make my art look soft, but I just prefer having it blurred out because I find cell shading is better for styles with cleaner line art. So if you do clean line art, then yeah, you should totally give cell shading a try. The little line art that I do is fine, and it would still work with cell shading, but it's all up to my preference, and it's up to your preference too. So if you cell shade and you want to blur everything, that's fine. Or if you have really messy line art, but you want to do the opposite, that's fine too. There really are no rules in how to draw, so it's always going to be up to you at the end. But my coloring and shading for the most part tends to be really simple, especially for this drawing, because right from the sketch, not really sketch, I knew that I didn't want to have any sort of dramatic lighting. I think I just wanted to have a little rim light, like where her other foot is, but it didn't have to be really drastic because then I was going to add the pink overlay. So I didn't really take lighting into account here, and I just made the shading really simple for that reason. Also, I want to talk a little bit about my Sona and the outfit inspiration, because I'm sure some of you are like, oh my gosh, what am I looking at? Especially about her ears. So let me just explain something about her ears. So my Sona is a redesign of the Sona that I made I think last year, And it's not a big redesign because it is the same ears, but I just wanted to make her a lot cuter and sweeter, and her hair is a lot shorter. I'm sure it's gonna be on the screen, the old design. But her old design, to me, or at least to me right now, it just felt really aggressive. Like, she has, the whites of her eyes are actually like this really dark, like hot pink color. But looking at it now, she kind of just looks high, and I'm not sure if that's as cool as I thought it was when I made it. So definitely changed that and actually gave her an eye color. And I just wanted her to look a lot cuter and sweeter, especially because one of the reasons I redesigned her was because I'm currently on a journey to self-improve, because I just feel like some things haven't been working out. So I'm trying to be a better person in the process. And a better me means a better persona, so I redesigned her. This is the first drawing I did of her redesigned self, and I thought she should have multiple outfits that are inspired by things I like, which is, you know, the color pink, fruits, cute stuff. That's just all the stuff I like. And also just anything with hearts on it. And when I was on Pinterest the other day, I found these adorable pants where like the back pockets had like hearts on them, and I thought it would fit this pose and that it would look good on her, and it does. So that's the outfit I put her in, with just, you know, white long sleeve top, nothing major. And as for what animal she is, I remember when I created her that her whole story was that she was a failed science experiment, and then she grew up and, you know, became an artist, got a job, whatever. And she was supposed to be, you know, part deer, because she was supposed to be remnants of a lot of other animals. But I just feel like that was really complicated, and since the redesign was really cutesy, then I thought, oh, maybe she should be part sheep. But I really didn't want to get rid of the ears, and the ears look a lot more deer than they do sheep, but they still kind of look sheep. And that's when I decided, oh, let me just put the two words together. So I put the words deer and sheep together, and that makes the word shear. You know, like how you shear sheep. So she's a shear person. And though this might not be exactly part of the drawing process, this is something that I consider because I love writing stories and making stupid stories for all of my characters and for the characters that I draw, even if I don't end up drawing them ever again. So this is part of it, if you were wondering. Anyway, back to the drawing process itself, then I started doing her hair. And, you know, usually the way I color and the way most other artists color is that they do their line art or their sketch or whatever you want to call it, and then they do all of the coloring in layers below it. But for the hair, I always tend to put her hair specifically on layers above, and that's just because I don't really like the line art showing through for her hair, because I want it to be really fluffy. And even though I do the line art, not line art for her hair, I mostly use it as a guideline, and then I just end up coloring it and then doing it over top of everything, especially because her eyes are so big, and I really like to show her eyelashes poking through her hair because I think it's really cute. And for the highlights, I just do 3 little lines because I just want to show how voluminous and fluffy her hair is, so I don't want to go too heavy on the highlights. And I really wanted the eyes to be super duper sparkly, so you're gonna see me, you know, adding highlights to it and adding the hatching back and just adding a lot of highlights because I really wanted this to be as cute as I could possibly make it. And now we go to the final stage that I'm gonna call multiply and overlay. And this stage is exactly what it sounds like. Basically what I do is I covered my entire Sona in dark purple, and then I set it to multiply, and then after that I put an overlay. Usually for my drawings I tend to do orange overlays because it really does warm up the drawing and it warms up the liner and the hatching as well, but I love pink and I've never done a pink overlay before, so I decided to try it and it turned out really nice. Multiply usually darkens the atmosphere of your drawing, and overlay usually brightens the saturation. So I tend to use both of those all the time when I draw, and it makes the drawing look a lot more cohesive. And I want to say one more thing about finding your art style. For the people watching who are trying to find their art style, I encourage you, and I mean encourage you, to experiment. What do I mean by experiment? Try things that you don't do all of the time in your art. Like for example, I usually do orange for my overlays. I tried pink, I liked it. I don't usually add hearts and sparkles in the background, but I did, and I liked it. And I went in and brightened up my highlights and even added the name of my YouTube channel, and this drawing came together really nicely. And these aren't things that I usually do. I wasn't even planning to add the stickers. I just made that decision while I was drawing. But now the speed paint is done and the video is starting to come to an end. So now on to my final thoughts. And what a journey it's been. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and that those of you who don't have an art style yet were able to learn a few things. I hope you didn't mind my rambling, because I did ramble a little bit in this video, but I do hope it didn't bother you so much. And now for the creator of today. Today's small creator of the day goes to Clown Art. Their art is wonderful and they're very, very close to 1K, so it would mean the world to me if you went to support them. And I love their sunflower vibe, so please go check out their channel. And I will see you all in the next video, which is probably gonna be another drawing YouTubers that inspire me. I still haven't picked, but I will today, and then I'll start drawing. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you all another time. Goodbye.